All right, g'day everybody and welcome to Web Radio Coast to Coast and your friendly neighbour Web Radio man, the one and only Mr. Fantastic, Johnny Cantoni. And we do have a team fantastic from Ratepayers throughout the whole of Victoria. Really excited. We have Kelvin, Wayne and Graham, and I'll get them to introduce themselves and let them know where they're from. But Bass Coast, Graham, Kelvin, Victorian Ratepayers Association, Wayne's Central Goldfields. We're going mining with him soon, I hope. But we're going to get some updates today. It's been fantastic that we've covered so many great topics, and thanks to Graham, we've created this platform that we're going to be able to, every Thursday, we aim to invite as many Ratepayer Association people involved to give us their updates and let us know what's going on. Graham Jolly, you've been a great advocate here within the community. Same with everybody out there. There are some great brand new advocates out there that don't realise that's what they're doing, and they need to recognise that Ratepayers Association is a great opportunity. If you've got an issue with government of any sort regarding housing, where you live, what's going on, the conditions, the decisions they've made, I know it's been great to see so many people out in the streets and showing their point. But how's this? There are people, there are groups that have been around for 20 or 30 years or even possibly longer that do this properly. Through council, through government, we've got Ratepayers Victoria on board who have actually pretty much changed their approach and recognised that their whole approach is straight towards state government and not council because, well, we'll let him explain that. Then we've got also Wayne from Central Goldfields, mate. This guy's inspirational and a great advocate. And all three are a great example of what we need to do if you want to make your community, your actual local community, better. So all the ratepayers, residents, and electors and shareholders, they're all out there, and some are running around screaming out, this is the way to go. No, you want to scream and shout through great procedure and through great policy and through great ways with ratepayers associations who understand things like governance policies, which we'll be talking about, where they're standing, the transparency stuff as well. This is where we're all getting bamboozled, and this is where the ratepayers associations are basically pulling their hair out saying, yeah, but we know this. So we're going to help you guys know about ratepayers, and ratepayers will know about you guys, and see how we can coordinate and make them a lot stronger. Now, that's an introduction that I've got to stop. But Graham Jolly, thank you very much. You have been an inspiration with our shows. What's going on, and how happy are you to have Kelvin Granger and Wayne McCall on with us today?
Good morning, Johnny. Good morning, Wayne and Kelvin. Thank you very much, Johnny, for allowing me to be on the show again this morning. It's a great opportunity to put some information out there to people, and especially when we've got Ratepayers Victoria coming on your show and talking about, as an overseer of all the 79 councils in the whole of Victoria, of some of the actions and matters that they're putting out there for people to understand. Down here in the Bass Coast, there's a few things that people need to come to terms with and understand. Overnight, we've learned that our CEO down here has been reappointed by our councillors for another 5 years. There's nothing wrong with that. They're quite entitled to do that, but it's a bit disappointing that it wasn't advertised out there for everybody to know that it was happening at a particular point in time.
I would have loved to apply for a job just for the sake of the experience. That's it. I didn't even get a chance to do that. Sorry, I'm just adding some atmosphere, but it's fair dinkum, mate. Everybody and anybody who wanted to have a shot at that position didn't, and that's been monopolised. So as far as it seems to look like it's been monopolised, allegedly.
Well,
possibly.
That's you can argue that as much as you like, sort of thing.
That's correct.
He's been reappointed by our representative, the councillors, and we just get on with getting it done. It's important that people know that the most powerful thing that the ratepayers have got down here is community question time. Please put your questions into council as a meeting and start asking more questions. One of the questions that was disallowed when I put a question into council, the meeting yesterday, the 17th of August, I asked the question, for the mayor to disclose what the key performance indicators were for the CEO. And I put that question in not knowing that the CEO is going to be reappointed again for 5 years. It came back that the question was disallowed because it was too personal. Now, it doesn't matter.
Hang on, what was personal about that?
Well, in the eyes of the council, they determined under their governance rules that it was too personal, and it was related to the CEO. So we just take note of that and move on. But the other interesting thing that Calvin, that you might want to take note of, there was a question asked by a ratepayer for council to produce a full listing of the assets that council has. Now, council has hundreds of millions of dollars of assets in every single shire.
Yep.
The answer came back that our council hasn't got a listing of the assets and they can't provide it. But they can come up with multi-million dollars worth of assets in the annual report, which is about to be publicised in the next few months, and they've been doing that every year. Now, we pay for the assets. Our rates and our taxes pay for all of the assets in the Bass Coast down here, and it's the same in every other shire right around the whole of Victoria. So it's something.
I don't have to, Graham, I do not have to show you what I bought when you asked we need to buy some vehicles. I'll just tell you, look, we've bought vehicles, and no, I don't need to show you, Graham, but they're your vehicles, Graham. But no, I still don't need to show you a list of the vehicles that I just spent with your money.
Yeah.
So that means that who knows if those vehicles are out there, and who knows if that extension that I got was from it. Well, that's not the case. That's not really. Yeah, that's not the case, but there is some investigation to be done. And I guess one thing I realise with the Ratepayers associations are really, if there's any real internal affairs for council and government, it's you guys, and it's how you guys hold yourselves. And if you didn't hold yourselves that well at all, then you guys, ratepayers wouldn't exist. So there's an actual example of why this is existing. So pretty exciting.
Graham, I'm somewhat concerned about that. To think that you can't have the key performance indicators for the CEO just sounds absolutely ludicrous. I can't understand why they're ashamed to not only tell you, but publish the darn things. Why is that a problem? And as for not having a list of your assets, that's an absolute lie. They'll have a list of the assets because they've got to publish them in the annual report.
No, they only publish
a figure.
The total bottom line.
Yeah. But to be able to get that, they've got to have a list of them and have them costed. So they'll have a list of them, all right. I think I don't think that's being truthful. I'm extremely sceptical of those two answers, Graham. I think that's really, really something that it just can't possibly be right. I don't believe that it's any way detrimental for the CEO to tell the people what her key performance indicators have got to be. That's just plain simply good governance. That's ridiculous to think that they're not doing that.
Well, I'm saying to you, Calvin, it should be part of the Local Government Act, and there needs to be some changes. One of the other startling things that came out of the meeting yesterday, we had a councillor down here that is a chartered accountant. Right, he's been as a councillor down here in the Bass Coast for a number of terms, so he's highly qualified to do with accounting practices and stuff like that. He put a notice of motion into council yesterday, and the simple thing was all he wanted was the council to produce a listing of the consultants and their expenses. End of story. Very simple.
Yep.
Now, 4 of the councillors supported it, and 5 of them spoke against it. Couldn't understand it.
No, that sounds ridiculous to me too. That's another thing that should be on hand for everyone to see. Why are they hiding that kind of stuff? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So,
is it because they're counting on they're not, like, for the last 10 or 20 years, they haven't been watched as much. I guess you guys are even getting more and more people jumping on board now, but it's great that people are starting to watch and people are starting to talk about it. Now we're starting to have this conversation, and they're not just, pub people. These guys are representatives of different ratepayers. Bloody exciting people.
We approached our Shire for both those documents, Graham. The FOI the CEO's KPIs went to the Freedom of Information, and we actually got those. So we eventually got it. It took us about 3 months, but we eventually got those. And then when it came down to the assets, going back to our Shire, the Central Goldfield Shire, was sacked, and the integrity report by the inspectorate was put out in 2017. One of the key issues that they raised was the aspect that we haven't had an asset assessment redone since 2014. And it was one of the requirements that had to be done. Last year, we pursued our council for the actual, we wanted a copy of that. They could not give us a copy of it, but they did permit us to go in and actually view it again. You know, at least they gave us that amount. That you cannot do a budget, you cannot do a forecast without a set, stable, authorised, legal valuation of what you're building.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's why there needs to be change in the Local Government Act, right?
Oh, there definitely does. It definitely needs a lot of change in the Local Government Act. That's why I keep saying most places I go, most of the time, it's not councils that are the scoundrel when it comes to handling the people. Most of the time, it's the Parliament of Victoria that have created the Local Government Act that permit councils to do what they do.
Copy that.
And there's some glaring omissions in the Local Government Act. One of them, Section 171 capital A, provides for hardship. I can't find one council that has provided a rate relief for hardship in the whole state of Victoria. Now, that's just bloody mindedness that is almost to the stage of tyrannical. It's really quite serious when people can't pay their rates. I know a man that eats 7 days a week. He eats once every day. Most of the time, it's frozen vegetables from that cheap supermarket thawed out, and that's what he eats. And on 1 day a week, he gets some mince or sausages or something like that and heats it up. Now, he's got to do that just so he can pay his rates. He's applied for relief under hardship 3 times now and never had it once. So there's some really bad examples of what's going on. When the drought was on, we had people all over the state that had not earned any money for 3 years, not earned $1 for 3 years. And now they're expected, some of them are $40,000 and $60,000 rate bills. How do they do that when they've got not earning anything? They're just examples of the bloody mindedness, if you like, by these councils and led by the union, the MAV. I find it absolutely abhorrent. The other real glaring omission that is in the Local Government Act is the role of the council. A council seems to be able to do what it likes. It seems to, send money to South Africa. That's a federal government responsibility. That's foreign affairs. That's their job.
Obviously not anymore by the looks of things.
And Sally Cap at the moment's gone over on some climate change.
Venezuela.
That shouldn't be happening. You're exactly right.
Sally Cap,
it's not their job.
Mayor of Melbourne. It's just ridiculous that these people can do that. And that's only one example. It's happening all the time. And that's ratepayers' money being wasted. What is the point of Sally Cap going to Venezuela or anywhere else for that matter? It's just ridiculous. Climate change is not a local government responsibility. It's a federal government responsibility. And that gets back, as I said a bit earlier, to the role of a council. It needs to be really some direction from government in that act. So that they can do sort of, or they got a better idea of what they can, what issues they can deal with. It's
Yeah.
really quite serious.
Yeah, since the Local Government Act 2020 has been put out, a lot of even in there actually had a reasonable definition about it. But now whatever's in there now is totally vague. You know, we would love to see a bit of accountability and transparency actually put in.
Yeah.
You know, the reason the councils are able to run ruckshot is for the simple reason that, as you said, Kelvin, the actual state government are not enforcing their own rules on to the actual council. You know, the councils may be there to run the shire, but the state government is now putting so many conditions and so many rules in there, and they are the governing body. They are the overriding body.
Absolutely.
And these bureaucrats who are taking the community out of being able to be part of their direction.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, and it's but it's not only that. The governance from a lot of councils is just junk. When some councils, the amount of money they get in rates and charges from the ratepayers, about 80% of it goes to pay salaries. Well, that's absolutely ludicrous. You can't expect, and across Victoria, it's almost 70%. It's absolutely abhorrent to think that ratepayers are being charged these enormous amounts of rates so that people can get these, CEOs and directors can get these huge salaries. It's just not even close to good governance.
So all you people that were out there on the streets, this is where you go. You're a resident, you're a ratepayer, you're an elector, and you're a stakeholder. And if you can listen to these people speaking, they represent the Ratepayers Associations Victoria. We have Central Goldfields and Bass Coast. And we have Central Goldfields, and all the others have a lot more other contacts with the others. We'll get them together on Thursdays and start releasing this information and get everybody to understand, instead of doing what you're doing that way, join your ratepayers. Start off with joining Ratepayers Victoria, and then join your local one. This gives them more voice. If you have, at the moment, they've got the best artillery and arsenal out there to fight, but they've only got one or two. And the more that come along, the more arsenal they get, and the stronger that weaponry becomes. Technically, I will be speaking to these guys offline and recognising that each and every one of these groups have a certain amount of members. There is our goal to even amalgamate all those members as well as existing in their own, but really putting those numbers together through Ratepayers Victoria is a big way. And then to filter through and also be able to develop. Now, the thing is, Ratepayers Associations, be careful, because we're really going to push this over the next couple of months. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing a bit more of a rise in the memberships. We will be coming out to your areas doing shows in that aim. So I guess the problem is, what happens when you start with 1,000 ratepayers as members and then you've got 33,000? That's a good problem to have, but a real big problem to have, people. So maybe I might be a problem for you guys in the future, but that's our aim. It's great hearing all these great things that have been said, and having Kelvin and Graham and Wayne on board has been fantastic. Sorry, I had to interrupt, Kelvin. I am really excited about it, and I just try and bring a bit of atmosphere, and I apologise if I talk too much, people. But yeah, great stuff. Really great to listen to.
It is great stuff, Johnny. Well, I get a question put at me at different times. What would you like? The question is, what would you like change to do with Local Government Act and Council? And I've got a single answer. Hansard. You put Hansard in to a local government and get the accuracy of the meeting minutes a lot better than what they currently are, because they're rubbish.
Oh, what? Pardon? Really?
That would make a big difference.
I didn't realise they were rubbish, Graham. I didn't realise.
I didn't think they were even that good, Graham. They're pretty pathetic a lot of the time with a lot of these councils.
Look, if anyone wants to use profanities, just use, I don't know, an ex-politician's name that you don't like, maybe. Just no. Sorry, I'm kidding. I shouldn't even say that. Sorry.
It's absolutely the job of groups like Ratepayers Victoria to be a voice for the ratepayers and, in fact, residents, because if you rent a property, you're indirectly paying rates. So it's not just ratepayers. Indirectly, it's pretty much everybody that's got a roof over their head, and they're affected by these councils. And our job as Ratepayers Victoria is to lobby on their behalf. And we do spend a lot of time talking to ministers. We've got a pretty good relationship with the minister. We're developing some bones on our policies right now to give to her and the shadow minister. We've got a pretty good relationship with them. And we also talk to mobs like Vago, IBAC, the Inspectorate, them sorts of mobs we do have a very good working relationship with. And that's very good because we do have an input into these groups, and it makes it so much easier that we have that. And that's our role as we see it, is to lobby and speak on behalf of the ratepayers and, of course, the residents across the 79 councils of Victoria. We're probably the opposite to what the MAV is. The MAV is I call it a union for the councils, and I suppose we're a union for the ratepayers, and that sort of puts it over simplistic probably, but that is a fairly easy way of explaining it.
No, you're right there, Calvin. The MAV is the overseer of all councils for a starter.
Yep.
And as it was pointed out at your state forum just recently, the MAV gets $136 million worth of income in a year.
Yep.
It's a bit difficult to compete against an organisation with that amount of money when you're volunteers.
Yep. Absolutely.
When does the community have the opportunity to go enough to know how it? You guys will actually teach us that as we go, I should say. I'll just stop myself. But I mean, there are some questions that really, when it gets too far, and by the looks of things, it's going too far in many different areas. I mean, Graham, you mentioned to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the bill to pay wages within the Bass Coast is something like $52 million or something. Is that right?
No.
Thank you.
The overall expense, employee expenses in the budget this year is just over 33 million, and the capital works program is set at 29 million.
Yeah.
But how much do they get out of the ratepayers each year though?
The overall out of ratepayers for rates only is about 54 million. But the overall income of council, which includes the grants and fees and charges and all the whole box and dice, is about $104 million in a year.
In a year.
Yeah, that's in the budget.
And on top of that, last year's works program only like finished like 30% or something. Was that right? Or to get up to 40? No, there is.
The thing that we've got to actually have a look at is what productivity we're actually getting out of this investment that we're putting in. Let's not, put aside the fact that this is an ABN company, and so if we're putting in 20 million, if you had a business and you're putting in 20 million to pay the wages of your staff and you're only getting $12 million out of it, there's something very, very seriously wrong with the actual management of that area.
Absolutely.
Does that mean they come under corporate law?
Oh, a council.
That's a very fine line there, Johnny.
Yes, it is. You're dead right, Graham.
No. Why is it?
A council is a statutory authority, which means they're an authority created by statute, like Vic Roads, Work Cover Authority, all them sorts of authorities. So they come under that. And as such, they're not bound by the Corporations Act. 57A of the Corporations Act Commonwealth quite clearly states that they're not a corporation for the purposes of that act. So they're a funny creature, councils.
So what are they a corporation? What are they a purpose of?
They're a body. They're a body politic. They're a statutory authority. They are a corporation, but not bound by the Corporations Act. So they're a little bit like Vic Roads and Work Cover Authority, Fishing Authority, all these kinds,
Copy that. Okay, all right.
all these kinds of bodies within the state of Victoria.
And I guess because it's a community activity or community exercise, I guess you can call it. It's not responsible just of one person. Geez, if they were, things might be a bit easier to keep it cleaner. But
Yeah,
exactly.
we could call it a Clayton's company, a company which is run by the people when it's not run by the people.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's another factor in there. The council officers and CEO and the council officers and council people that is employed down there have got a what do they call addendum? They can't be
indemnity.
sued. Yeah. All right. So
It's kind of fair enough, because if you're in that position, I mean, if you're in that position, some things can. Well, I guess look at John Kane. I thought everyone said he was pretty honest, and look how they made him look. So I guess in that position you don't have complete control of what you're doing, because other people get their fingers into those decisions.
That's right, and that's nothing new.
Fair here, okay, and understanding.
All parliaments have a thing called parliamentary privilege. The Commonwealth Parliament, all the state parliaments, they have that thing called parliamentary privilege, and this is just another version of parliamentary privilege that they can't be held accountable.
yeah.
Okay.
Which is it's a problem.
Which
But
comes
it's
down
understandable, but at the same time, there must be a way.
accountability,
Sorry, go again, Wayne.
which comes down to governance and accountability.
Indeed, yeah.
Well, now that's another thing. I'll actually try and get Zena Barlow, because she's been actually fighting regarding the government and these causes. It's pretty interesting what she has to say with that. I must admit, I bet you she's pretty rapt that the Ratepayers Victoria have changed their or fine-tune their approach regarding the government and the state. And it's great to hear you guys have already been speaking to these ministers and building up a rapport with them, which is great in one thing, but we also got to get the people behind you. So I hope we do this every Thursday, if not more, and do some more updates. Let's sort of start wrapping up, because there's a few things that we've all got to do, including, so if we can, let's start with Wayne from the Central Goldfields Ratepayers and Residents Association. Wayne, give us a bit of a wrap up of what's going on and what you guys, what headaches, or I should say, would you like to give us an update of Central Goldfields?
Well, basically, the situation we're in is our council was sacked in 2017. We're still recovering from that. We're still trying to move forward. But after 2 or 3 years, we've still got a satisfaction survey result of 54%, which is about 5% below the average. So the bottom line is we have got our councillors sacked. We had administrators in. We've now got a new elected council. At that new elected council, of the 7 of them, 3 of them are the previously sacked councillors. And when you have councillors that were sacked from the inspectorate's report for poor governance, fraud or corruption, management oversight, robust policies, strong internal and external controls, the Central Goldfields Council failed its community in many areas. They took the CEO and he was charged, but they didn't follow through on their report. So why were these councillors allowed to come in and guide our shire? We haven't improved. We are no better than where we were before. So this is where it's up to the people now to turn around and say, we want this to happen. And not only on a local level, they've also got to do it on a state level. This next election is just so important.
Yeah.
And what we've got to do is, the situation we're in is a situation which has been permitted to happen because of the community. It's because we have permitted it to happen. We've permitted the state government to actually take control the way they have. We have permitted this lack of transparency, and we've permitted this lack of accountability to come in. So it's now time for us to all band together, every one of us, Graham, Kelvin, every other Ratepayers Association, even at you, Johnny. It's now time for us to say, all right, guys, this is our community, this is our money, this is our direction, and we would like to be able to be part of it. So all I'll say with our shire and every other shire, it's now time we got alongside and let's start becoming and put the unity back in our community.
Oh, you're a fire. That was brilliant. Well wrapped up. That is Wayne McCall from the Central Goldfields Ratepayers and Residents Association. Graham, who we finish off with you? We'll finish off with Kelvin to wrap it up. Graham, let's get into
I
back.
think, Johnny, I think the important person is Calvin today. It's he's the overseer of all 79 councils in Victoria. I'll just quickly ramp up. I've just had a little note put here from my wife, all right? And she's written down here, ratepayers want to get the best results for the council for the ratepayers. That's what we're not getting.
Simple. Well done.
All right?
Do you know what, Graham? We're going to use that as what we're going to call our maybe use that for our segment title. So remember that one, because I'll actually organise an event. Also, listeners and viewers, we are broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and BitChute. Rumble and Facebook, and also our webpage very soon. We're also going to help the Ratepayers Association actually have some control over their very own web radio broadcast. For example, this conversation would be a great web radio loop to run in every one of those shires to show support, get businesses and community groups on board, running programs and running updates with Ratepayers Associations. And now, Kelvin Granger, President of Ratepayers Victoria. Thank you.
Just a last follow-up with me, Johnny, if you don't mind.
Sorry.
I invite Kelvin to run this show that's been spoken about today at your committee meeting and future committee meetings, any of these sorts of shows, because you'll get an understanding of what's happening around Victoria a little bit more.
Yes, we do get a lot of correspondence from a whole range of people about the woes that's happening, and there are plenty of woes. What Wayne said, I thought, was really excellent. The governance of local government is lacking, and it's quite seriously lacking. We don't seem to be able to get through to councils, so our only way of doing it is to get the Act changed so that councils are forced to act in accordance with proper, normal, good governance guidelines or procedures. They don't. It's been really pathetic. And what we've been saying for some time, it needs change. And the key to that, and Wayne touched on it, is people. We need people to come on board and people to give us a hand. We can come up with all, and Ratepayers Victoria, I'm very lucky. I'm president of a very skillful committee. I can tell you, I've got one of the best committees that I've ever had in my life. And I've done a lot of years running volunteer organisations. And we are very lucky. We've got a very good committee, a very knowledgeable committee, a smart committee. So we do have a lot of things. Of course, there's a lot of work. We get a lot of comments from different groups. We get a lot of input from people making statements that the council can't do this. Listeners, most of the time, council is permitted to do what they do. It's the Act that's at fault, not most of the time councils. Sure, corruption and bullying, that's contrary to the Act, and no one would ever think that that's okay. It's absolutely not okay, and it's got to be stamped out. And these corrupt and unlawful practices are absolutely abhorrent to everybody. But most of the time, councils can do what they do. They have the Act that enables them to do it. And that's the problem. The people don't understand that. We need people, and as Wayne was saying before, to be far more engaged in how they can help this cause, because it's working very well for both the state government and the councils. The state government continue to shift their responsibility onto councils. There's numerous versions of that. Now we've got a fire levy. So now the ratepayers are funding fires for the CFA and the other fire brigades. That's not the role of ratepayers. Planning, another thing that's
Oh, right. So we already pay these things in the first place.
yeah, we pay taxes to the state government to receive services. Now they shift the services onto a council that we pay again, but we don't get a deduction in our tax. So it's really quite a serious situation. And I wouldn't say it's a big con, but I'd go close to saying that. And they're the sort of things we need the help of people. And Wayne said it so well. I think that's one big thing we can do. If we all stick together and we all become part of it and we all go along to our local member of parliament, our state member of parliament, upper or lower house, both, and tell them that we're not happy with councils or the local government or the Local Government Act, for whatever reason you've got, that would help enormously. And, you know, I get plenty of politicians. I talk to politicians almost daily, and most of them tell me their complaints, most of it is coming from councils. So it is a big issue, and it's something that we can address, and it's something that if we had some more help, it would be so much easier.
Well, I think we're doing something completely different that's never been done before. And I think this is the exact platform to be able to glue everybody together and share. And I think also one of the first steps that I've just realised is getting as many of these Ratepayer Association members on board, and for them, firstly, just to start with giving us their update, just like with Wayne, yourself and Graham have done. It's been brilliant. It's been really exciting. And it's going to be great audio to run on a loop for everybody to share, and a great example to go forward. So once again, I thank all the Ratepayers Associations that have come on board, and what a great way to power up even right now. The conversation from all these different groups now have been shared within this broadcast, and there's a lot of knowledge that's actually been connected up now, and it's going to be really exciting each week. Ratepayers Update.
Can I just add something here, please, Johnny?
Certainly, Wayne.
It's the job of a Ratepayers Association to do themselves out of a job.
Exactly.
That's what we're all about. We want our council, our government, to do the right thing by us. Once they've achieved that, there's no need for a Ratepayers Association. What a wonderful time. And then we can go back to our lives.
Yeah, then I can invite you guys over for a big barbecue.
Yes.
Yeah, but we got another problem down here, Wayne. Our state government representative was also the ex-mayor of the Bass Coast Shire down here. So you try and go and get something done through her to do with local government, very tough task.
It's straight back to the key policy that we've all been discussing about getting the community to take control, have the people start standing up. We don't want to become dictatorships. We just want a fair go.
That's it. Exactly right.
Mate, God bless all your efforts. That's been a great conversation. Can't wait to catch up with you guys. Stand by for a moment. Everybody keep smiling, stay kind. There are the links there as well. Go be part. If you've got a gripe and you've been shouting and screaming and not liking what's been going on, go join up with Ratepayers Victoria and your local one, and you'll see the strength come out there. These guys understand procedures, understand policies, understand where they stand, where they actually have to fight, and aren't being undermined, where everybody like me and you, every other average Joe out there who's not involved in these things, are being undermined. And that's what these guys are screaming about. So keep smiling, stay kind. Speak to you next week. Thanks for your time.